Welcome to Embrace the Dark and the Light, a podcast about healing, identity, purpose, and being human. I'm your host, Kelly Street, a therapist, writer, and lifelong seeker. I believe that healing isn't linear. Darkness isn't something to fear, and the journey inward is the most important one we'll ever take. Each episode, I explore the full spectrum of what it means to live a conscious, intentional life, from the messy and tender to the sacred and expansive, through a mix of solo episodes and honest conversations with fellow creators, healers, and thinkers. We'll walk together through the shadow and the light, trusting that both have wisdom to offer. You're not alone in this. Welcome to Embrace the Dark and the Light. Okay, so I've been thinking about veils lately, but not the wedding kind. The kind that is between you and the thing you think you are looking at. Because here's what's been kind of rattling around in me lately. I don't think most of us are actually looking at the world. I think we're looking at a version of it that someone built, framed, lit, cut, scored, and handed to us through a piece of glass we keep in our pocket. And we've started to mistake that glass for the actual world. So that is what I want to sit in today. The veil. Celebrity culture, the news, reality television, which really is probably the most dishonest phrase in the English language. And how in the world are we supposed to be members of a global, connected, hyper-informed world and keep our nervous system, our peace, and our actual selves intact? As always, this episode is a personal one. I deal with this as much as all of my clients do, as much as the next person does, as much as my friends do. So take what's yours and leave the rest. But first, let's get into a little bit of grounding. So wherever you are, driving, walking, doing the dishes, it doesn't matter. I just want you to do one thing with me. Come off the screen, closing your eyes or looking out into nature, and be. Take a breath, a real one. Let it land at the bottom of your belly. And now, I want you to notice 5 things that are actually here with you. The temperature of the air on your skin, a sound that's in your real room, not in your headphones, not my voice, in the room. Something that you can see. The weight of your body in the chair, on the floor, on your feet. This is your real life, this square footage right here. This is the part of the world you can actually touch and be with. So take one more breath and keep all of these ideas in your back pocket because we're going to come back to them. And now, this is what I will call the part of the podcast where I say, we were never built for this. I'll probably say that again and again. Here's the thing I keep coming back to. We are not built for this. Like biologically, animally, we are not built for this. So there's this thing that I came across, this idea called, or this concept called Dunbar's number. This idea comes from anthropologist Robin Dunbar, that humans can only really maintain something like 150 stable relationships. That is the size of community that our brains are evolved for. So this is worth sitting with the next time your phone introduces you to 10 million strangers before breakfast. For basically all of human history, your world was the people that you could see around you, your village. There were only a handful of faces that you would know for your whole entire life. What was happening over the next hill, a mile or 2 down the road, was just like a rumor that arrived weeks later, if you ever heard about it at all. One funny example of this was my husband was telling me about reading a newspaper article from the 1900s in our town, from around 1900. And it was his great-grandmother talking about, she wrote a little article about going on a field trip to the next town over that I can drive to in 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes to get all the way through it. It's a small town. So this town that is now 15 minutes away by horse-drawn carriage 125, 26 years ago. Took 3.5 hours to get to. It was a field trip that took all day to go and watch a game. So 3.5 hours there, 3.5 hours back. That is so vastly different than our experience of life now. I think we can't even conceptualize it. So keep that in mind as we're going through all of this information overload. Your nervous system was more designed for that. Your nervous system was designed to have a noble horizon, like a manageable number of people to care about, and threats that you could actually do something about because they were physically right in front of you. Or they were stories that were told. And now I can wake up, and before I've even gone to the bathroom in the morning or had a cup of coffee, I can know about a war on the other side of the planet. I can know about a celebrity's divorce. I can know that there's an earthquake happening, a stranger's worst day, a trad wife influencer's perfect kitchen shows up in my bedroom. And I can hear a political pundit saying that the world is ending, that all of it, all at once, all delivered in the same flat, urgent tone, vying for your attention. And all of this is happening to a brain that cannot tell the difference between a threat to me and a threat that I am watching. Your body doesn't know that the earthquake is 7,000 miles away. Your body responds to the image like it's in the room. The cortisol that happens is real. The clench in your body is real. The dread is real. You are having a genuine stress response to something that you can do nothing about over and over all day on a loop that someone engineered to keep you exactly there. So I'll say again, we were not built for this. And I think a lot of the low-grade dread that so many of us are walking around with, that hum that you feel in your body, that something is wrong, that something is always wrong, is just part of this. It's indigestion. The body is trying to process more than any human animal was ever meant to hold. So, back to the veil. Because here's what I really want you to see, what I hope that you come away with. Everything, absolutely everything you take in through that piece of glass, your phone or your computer, has been chosen for you. Someone else picked the frame. Someone else decided what's in the shot. And more importantly, someone else decided what got edited out. Someone else wrote the headline that was meant to make you feel a specific way. Someone else's algorithm noticed that when you're upset or angry or confused, you scroll for longer than when you're happy, probably. So guess what it feeds you more of? So this is what propaganda actually is, by the way. We think that propaganda is just a guy in a uniform on a poster, but propaganda is just the frame. It is the omission of the thing. Propaganda is the angle that you see, and everything else that exists outside of it is gone. Propaganda is the quiet editing of reality into a story that something else wants you to see. And so celebrity culture or reality TV, these are kind of the purest, most honest examples of propaganda because they're not even pretending to be real. And we love them anyway. We know reality TV is cast, scripted, edited into villains and heroes. We know that every single celebrity's life is a brand with a team behind it. And yet we still consume it like it's a window when it isn't. It's a painting. It is fixed. I feel like maybe I'm being a little bit overdramatic here, and in some ways I am, but in other ways I really feel like I'm not being dramatic. I feel like this is actually something we do need to be so much more careful of and conscious of. And frankly, it scares me that most of us are walking around not being conscious or aware of this, that we're just taking in and consuming instead of discerning and asking the questions. But I will say, the part I want to be really careful about, because I don't want to tip into a scared mindset, is that thinking that everything is fake and nothing matters. And I don't want us all to go into this full cynic mode and detach from caring about anything, because that's not right either. Seeing through the veil is not cynicism. Cynicism is just another different veil that separates us. Seeing through the veil is actually clarity. It's just remembering every time that there is a frame, that this thing has been made by someone or something for a reason. And then that clarity is asking the question that matters. Do I consent? Am I buying into what this is doing to me? Am I allowing this? So, where do we go from here? I want to tell you a story about a client of mine. I'm going to keep it vague and not tell you all the details because really the details don't exactly matter. But I think what's going on, the little kernel, will probably resonate with a lot of people. So I had this client during a stretch when one of the wars overseas was at its most intense, most everywhere, most inescapable. And this client was consumed by it for hours a day. She would do news and then social media and then back to the news. She was reading everything. She was watching everything. And then she was hitting refresh and she was scrolling more and seeing more. It was never ending. And she felt this enormous, genuine grief and helplessness. She was asking, what do I do? How can I help? How can I just go on living my little life while this war is happening overseas? She could not put it down. And frankly, as a result, she was kind of falling apart. She wasn't sleeping. She wasn't present with her life and her family. And she had this frantic, churning helplessness that had completely taken her over. And so here's the thing I had to gently say to her, and I will say it to you. And I'll say it with love because I have been her. I have been there. And that's that this is not healthy, obviously. I mean, duh, this is not healthy behavior. And the harder part is that the consuming was not helping her. She wasn't helping the people in the war. She wasn't helping anyone. The hours she was dedicating to consumption were not feeding a single mouth or stopping a single bomb from being dropped. They were just literally destroying her. Here's where I want to walk a fine line because I am not saying that she should have stopped caring. I'm not. The world has enough people who've made so tuning out does not have to be the goal. You don't have to do the complete opposite. But there's a difference, and I think this is the whole episode right here, is that there is a difference between caring and consuming, between bearing witness to something or someone and then being buried by it. Her overwhelm for my client felt like caring. It had the texture of caring, it had the moral weight of caring, but it had nowhere to go. It just circled and circled and circled around her. And caring that has nowhere to go is not compassion. It's not helpful. It's actually showing up as self-harm to just constantly be in the swirl and consuming. And so what do you do? What do you do with all of that in this world where we're over consuming and witnessing all of these things? So here's what I worked on with that client, and something that I would like to offer to you if you are caught up in any version of this. The idea that witness needs a destination. So if something moves you, if it like genuinely tickles your soul or hurts you, then the move is to do one thing. Just do one thing. You can donate. You can make the call. You can show up. You can organize. You can make the art. You can have a hard conversation with someone in your life. You can pick one concrete action that is actually yours to take that you can do and then take it. And then the hardest part, you're allowed to close the app. You're allowed to stop because you've metabolized it. You've done the thing. You let the hard thing move through you and you've turned it into something else. That is digestion. That is what caring is supposed to do. It's supposed to come out somewhere, just like the stuff that we eat and take in has to come out. The alternative, the thing my client was doing and the thing I've done, is just keep ripping that wound open and putting more and more in over and over again. You can show care with your whole heart and still not be required to soak in it and sit in it until you drown. Those two things are not in conflict. We've just been told a story that says they are. That if you look away for a second, you're complicit. But that's not conscious. That's not awareness. That is the algorithm putting your guilt back on you and making you feel shame and getting stuck in the mire. So I want to introduce you to an idea that a client of mine actually shared with me. This could maybe be a good reframe, and I thought it was really helpful. It kind of changed a lot of ideas from me. I'm stealing it straight from my client's mouth, who got it from Thich Nhat Hanh. So giving credit where credit is due. So Thich Nhat Hanh talks about this idea of how we consume not just food through our mouths or through our bodies, but that we also get sense impressions through our eyes and our ears. That what you watch and what you read and what you scroll, that it's all food. It's a nutriment, is what he calls it, the word he used, nutriment. It goes in and it becomes part of you. And that nutriment, what you take in, it either feeds you or it poisons you, the same as anything else that you put in your body. And I find that idea so clarifying because nobody would defend eating processed food, garbage food, just sugar, candy all day long. If you ate the way that you scrolled, just whatever constantly most processed, inflammatory, fear-soaked food, no pause, no choosing, you'd feel awful. And you'd know exactly why. Because what you were putting in your bodies is the same as what you were putting in your mind. So why are you letting your minds eat garbage? So using discernment, then, of course, which is one of my favorite words and favorite practices, discernment is just choosing your diet. It's not see nothing. It's not a cleanse where you pretend the world does not exist. It is, I get to choose what becomes part of me. I get to decide what I'm willing to digest. And that, my people, is sovereignty. That's all sovereignty is, really. It's just quiet, unglamorous, but deeply rebellious act of deciding for yourself what gets to come into you, what gets to come into your life, what you see on your screen. So, what does this actually look like? This is a practice that has worked for me that I try with people. So see if it resonates with you. Number one, I started asking when something kind of grabs me and won't let me go, is this mine to carry? Some things are. A lot of things genuinely are not. A lot of things have just been handed to me. So, number one, is this mine to carry? Naming it is half the battle. Number two, what would I actually do with this information? If the honest answer is nothing, I just feel bad, then you have to ask yourself why you're willing to hold it. There's a difference between being informed has a purpose, but being inundated is just damage. So ask yourself, what would I do with this information? Number three, I choose my sources on purpose instead of letting the feed choose for me. So curate your feed. Unblock or unfollow accounts, or block or unfollow accounts that are destructive or distracting. You can do this permanently or temporarily. Or set time limits on the apps that are difficult for you to unplug from. Maybe try the brick thing. A friend of mine used the brick and she finds it really helpful in giving her boundaries and limits when she has trouble holding the ones she sets for herself. Number four, limit your focus to the world that you exist in. This can be your neighborhood, your city, your town, or even just your friendships and family. Dig in and get real about the hard things that are happening in the lives of people you could actually know, a la the Dunbar number. Remember, 150 relationships is all the human brain has evolved to manage. Witnessing is sacred. Seeing through the veil is necessary. I'm not asking you to look away from people's pain. I'm telling you to look intentionally, to let it move through you, and to then come back to your real life. You can start with, if you need to come back or having trouble come back, doing the 5 things you can see, feel, touch, on and on, 5 senses exercise. Because your life, your real square footage of your home, your real people, the room that you're actually in right now, that is more important than the world on the screen. That is your world. It is the part that you can actually tend to, that you can manage. So I'll leave you with this in closing, because it's the thing that this whole episode hangs on for me. The word apocalypse, everybody thinks it means the end of everything, fire and brimstone, the world burning down. But that's not what it means. The original word, apocalypse, just means unveiling, a revealing, a pulling back of the veil. So maybe the apocalypse isn't the world ending. Maybe it's the veil coming off. Maybe it's you finally seeing the frame for what it is, seeing the machine that exists behind what it is choosing for you. And for once, or maybe for the future, choosing for yourself. That's the practice. Not to stop caring, not to look away, but to see through the veil clearly enough to decide what is yours, to take that yours in deliberately, and to let it move you into your real life rather than away from it. Your peace and feeling a sense of safety is not apathy. Discernment is not avoiding. Okay, that is what has been moving through me. Thanks so much for joining me, and as always, embrace both the dark and the light. Thank you for being here and for walking this path with me. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love it if you'd take a moment to rate, review, or share it with someone who might need it too. To keep the conversation going, come say hi on Instagram at Embrace the Dark and the Light. And if you're looking for more support on your healing journey, you can find free resources, meditations, and so much more at embracethedarkandthelight.com. Until next time, may you honor the dark, trust the light, and keep coming home to yourself.